The VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days. They're cost-effective, time-efficient and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. To find out more, head to www.vlga.org.au. Welcome to a special edition of the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association. In this episode, we're diving into one of the world's most talked about technologies, generative AI. What does it mean for local government? What are councils doing right now, and what might the future hold? This episode was recorded with the support of Symphony 3, helping local governments deliver simple, connected customer experiences, and the AWS Builders Studio in Melbourne, where a group of local government technology leaders came together for inspiration and to learn more about where this exciting technology is taking us. Coming up, you'll hear from local government technology and communications leaders, including Justine Resta from the Association of Local Government Information Management, communications consultant Lisa Bennetto, James Plozza from Warrnambool City Council, and Greater Bendigo Council's Broderick McIntyre, and Jayne Webb and Fergal Coleman from Symphony 3 on how they're helping councils harness the extraordinary opportunities offered by generative AI. Symphony 3 has made a range of free AI resources available for local government. You can find them at symphony3.com/AI-resources. It's fair to say that some councils are embracing AI faster than others. Let's find out what's happening at some of those councils that are stepping into the world of AI. James Plozza is the governance manager at Warrnambool City Council, one of the first in the country to adopt an AI policy.
We developed this, I suppose, a bit over almost feels like 2 years ago now, just when AI was coming on the scene. And I suppose when you're developing an AI policy, you've sort of got 2 angles you can come at it with. You can either do it as an internal policy, you can make it a procedural document, you can make it something that is just the trappings of how your staff are using it, what you can do with it, or you can talk about the principles of AI. You can talk about accountability and human-centered decision-making. You can talk about the bigger pictures and the implications of the technology more broadly. So us as an organisation was sort of weighing up what direction we would go with it. And we had those conversations with our councillors, and they were more than happy to sort of take on a bit of leadership role in the sector. It didn't seem like anyone else at the time had sort of gone for that more public option, and they were sort of happy to take the lead. So we were seemingly the first in the sector to go for that public-facing policy. So that's where we got a bit of publicity as the first that went for that route. So I think there were people before us that had a policy and played with the technology, but we were the first to sort of tackle the bigger picture principles and face our community and tell them we're doing it and this is how we're doing it.
Lisa Bennetto is a consultant with Fruitful Communications and has a long history of working with councils on technological innovation. She likens the current opportunity to embrace AI to an earlier time when digital transformation was the new buzzword.
It's a greenfield for everyone, but for local government too. And I think there's a terrific opportunity, not dissimilar to the one that I saw 10 years ago when we were talking about digital transformation. So I'm looking at ways for councils to potentially work together, create a kind of consistent approach to be efficient and to get the best results for their communities.
It's a good point you raised, because I see some similarities with shared services when it first became a buzzword, and different councils trying to do their own thing. Councils need to collaborate more from a resource and efficiency point of view. This is like another example of that at the early stage, isn't it?
It is, but it's going at such a breakneck speed that even the big councils are going to have trouble keeping up with it. I think we need to be looking at partnering in a way outside of local government with people like AWS here and the other big guys who are doing things. There are experts to help us with this. We're going to be local government going to be needing to assist their communities to adjust to this. So it's going to affect every business sector and it's going to happen very quickly. I think we need to be able to work together to work out the nuts and bolts of it and also to work together to talk about policy around it, to talk about risk, to talk about whether we should do things, even though, we can do some things. Should we do them? What are the implications of automation, of job changes, things like digital transformation on steroids to me.
That sense of urgency is being felt more and more. What once felt like a futuristic concept is suddenly on the desks of governance managers, IT teams and CEOs. So what are they actually doing with it? Jayne Webb from Symphony 3 is working with a number of councils around the state on AI proofs of concept, a process that started some months ago.
Initially, we were trying to get some senior leaders just to understand about AI and what potential there is in the sector. And really from there, we partnered with councils that were interested and curious to get into this AI space. And really from there, we did a lot of AI workshops with councils to try and understand what type of use cases that they thought AI could help within their processes. So it's been a really interesting journey. What we found is that councils want to start small. And I think that's really important to try to manage the risks going forward. I think it's best to start with something small to try and keep things practical and low risk and try and get that buy-in from staff. So there's a lot of staff that might not have used AI before. Keeping things small and showing them the value from something quite simple is going to be effective going forward.
So given that local government does so much, how has the process to narrow down on some particular use cases been handled?
A lot of use cases, some are obviously quite complex. A lot of councils decided to keep it simple for the proof of concept and kind of go with that question and answer sort of theme. And that's really useful because it shows efficiency gains straight away. But it's also really good that some councils have focused on more complex issues, such as trying to streamline parking infringements. And those type of proof of concepts and those use cases going forward, that's probably where they're going to see more beneficial and more outcomes at the end.
Symphony 3 is working with 8 councils on AI proofs of concept. Founder Fergal Coleman brought them together at the AWS Builders Studio in Melbourne for inspiration and to see some of the latest cutting-edge use cases for the technology.
About innovation, and this is the Builders Studio is an innovation lab. As you know, we heard us talking about it. We've been doing 8 AI proof of concepts with 8 councils around Victoria, and we thought we'd bring them to the Builders Studio to kind of see innovation at work in other sectors. So we've just been through the Builders Studio. We've been looking at holograms. We've been looking at Gen AI models. We've been looking at IoT-enabled houses for health and safety. And the idea is really just to give people a fun environment to start thinking about how they can adapt some of these practices back into council. We think it's really important to get to the people at the coalface in any organisation. So when we've been doing the PLCs, we've done a call out in the councils for people who are interested, and they come with their problems and they come with their challenges and they come with their opportunities because they're the ones interfacing with residents at the end of the day. So it's finding out what those pain points are and applying the technology that way. Yeah. Not about just throwing the technology out there.
Yes. Are there any recent examples of where this sort of approach has produced some sort of outcome or solved a problem that councils have been challenging with previously?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're doing 8 of them across the board. So some of the things we've got are simple knowledge bases put over, reams of documents that people have to go leafing through. We've got one that we're doing with the PLC with the City of Bendigo, where they've got heritage documents. So people want to know if they've got the heritage overlay on their property. they've got to search through I think there's 12 documents that are hundreds of pages long. Now we can put that into an AI model. People can query it with a question and it'll come back with an answer in seconds. So the time and cost savings there are remarkable, really. That'll apply across the whole organisation if you can get your data right.
It's those savings in time and effort that Greater Bendigo is looking to achieve with its proof of concept. IT data analyst Broderick McIntyre tells us more.
It might take some, really old documentation that was that's handwritten or something like that, transform that into, to be able to take it into, text into a computer, and then the AI assistant acts as kind of like a search mechanism for that. So that's kind of like the proof of concept. It's like, well, it might take someone a long time to have to comb through a lot of historical resources and stuff like that physically, and then get back to someone on some particular thing. But an AI bot can literally just go, well, I've got all that stored. Ask me anything about anything historical from this particular data set, and I can give it to you in mere seconds.
So, from internal agents supporting HR and local laws to customer service chatbots and document search tools, AI is already delivering tangible results. But while some are racing ahead, others are still watching cautiously from the sidelines. I spoke with Justine Resta, the Australian president of the Association of Local Government Information Management, about an inconsistency in the approach of the sector towards generative AI.
So on one side, there's probably a lot of councils that have just taken that position of blocking, or banning the use of AI and AI platforms. I guess that could be due to either a lack of understanding on what that means for their organisation, or purely just through lack of resources and funding to make it a priority. So I'm always thinking about those smaller councils who might only have one or two staff in their IT teams or even in their governance teams, who wear several hats and don't even have dedicated staff to put the time into not only uplifting their organisation's capabilities and knowledge, but even their own. So it's such a new and evolving space that even very technical people won't always be 100% on top of where AI is at the moment. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've seen a few councils that have dedicated time and funding to AI adoption. So I think that really comes down to, the CEO or the directors or the leadership going, yes, this is important and we'll actually dedicate some resources to this. So have seen both extremes in local government, from not at all to, progressing really quickly. So I'd like to hope that those councils who are the early adopters will share those stories, how they went about, what they've done, so that other councils can learn from it. And I'd like to hope whatever projects that they're working on are scalable and have the ability to share those resources and solutions across councils as well.
Activities like the AWS Builders Studio visit are exposing local government people to the broad potential of the technology and causing them to think differently about the opportunities, as Broderick McIntyre at Greater Bendigo explained.
It was extremely eye-opening for me. So my background is a business analyst. Obviously, like business analysis and data analysis sort of crossover, and that's why I'm in this position. And I think it's important because I'm doing a bit more than data analysis here as well. But yeah, I think looking at the lens of a business analyst, I hadn't considered before about business process improvement, which is just a massive thing that where AI can sort of sit in now. Now our current proof of concept is actually kind of a really cool version of that. It's like when a Bendigo resident wants to know something very specific about something that might be sort of stuck in a data store, if you could have an AI agent that's in like a chatbot or something, give them that information, that reduces load, I guess the effort that of resources that need to be put towards answering those questions and that sort of stuff. It's very straightforward. It's about making everything a bit more efficient, I suppose. And so when I think about business process improvement and stuff, and think about how generative AI and just AI tools and stuff like that can be utilised, I think of I guess just looking at a lot of the processes and thinking, could AI be injected at this point to generate this particular document? Like if it could be trained to do exactly what particular people do in a particular group or something, could that free them up so that they've got more resources to, handle other things and all that sort of stuff? So it's it was really really interesting, and I hadn't thought of it before. I always just found, the concept of AI before kind of annoying from a programming perspective. Everyone's like, everyone's trying to create an app now just by typing in a bunch of things into ChatGPT, and I always thought it was like, neither here nor there. But no, like looking at like what is actually available to businesses and organisations and all that sort of stuff, I just think, wow, it could actually. When you've got repeatable processes that might have like a little bit of nuance, but that could be trained. You could have AI really help out there.
James Plozza at Warrnambool told me that he thinks more executives need to think about AI at the principals level.
I think there's a lot of executives, CEOs, managers thinking about it, asking questions. Maybe some of them are trialing it and playing with it. I don't think there's a great enough appreciation of the transformative potential that the technology offers generally for our organisations. Just the amazing potential for unlocking efficiencies that it potentially offers. I think that if that realisation was more profoundly felt, that there could be greater conversations had in a more profound way and maybe a high level of investment. So I think there's a way to go before it really sinks in. I think we're still at a stage where it's a fun novelty. It's something that CEOs just maybe see as the latest sort of hype thing, something that maybe we have to put into our council plan. I don't think it's really hitting that crescendo yet, where it's being treated really seriously.
But is there also a procedural barrier that needs to be overcome? Justine Resta thinks so.
This, I guess, view or perception or somewhere in council policies where you can't work with a vendor to prototype something because then you've got to go out to RFQ or tender, and because you've worked with that vendor, they need to be excluded because now they have an advantage over other vendors that want to apply for that tender. So you kind of go, well, hang on, you want to try to get value for money and work with, someone like an AWS to maybe do a prototype for, at no cost that can be scalable across all councils. And yet then we're hindered by our own processes to go, oh, now we can't do that because they can't apply for that tender now because they've got a unfair market advantage because they know the product, know the system. It's like, and it's a catch-22. So, I feel like there's some barriers there, whether perceived or real, that stop us from playing in that space, when I think that's probably where we can actually save money and have value, which again flies in the face of the whole reason we do procurement, right, is to get value for money.
Local governments are known for their risk-averse nature. When budgets are tight, failure is a luxury that few can afford. So how does the sector balance innovation with caution? Fergal Coleman says it's a noticeable and understandable dynamic at play in many councils, and he advises a small steps approach.
So I think big, start small. Create a safe space where people are okay to fail. The other thing is, we think you need senior management buy-in. So you've got to get senior manager saying, okay, guys, we're going to try this. We're going to give you a set amount of budget, play here, and you work within the guardrails. It's okay to fail.
And as James Plozza at Warrnambool points out, successes and failures are all part of the process.
Having both successes and failures, that's part of the process. It's the stuff where you sort of have to pass through what's a gimmick and what can actually have an impact and unlock some level of efficiency. And that's the sort of the challenge. And there's a level of experimentation in that. There's lots of stuff. Lots of people in the sector are trying and experimenting, but it's still very nascent. If you're part of the team inside the organisation that's trying to lead AI uptake, if you're in like a change management team, or you're in an IT team that's trying to roll this stuff out, and you're part of the group that's building the agent, who's trying to get the agent into the, whether it's the local laws team or it's the HR team or whatever team, you need to sort of prepare them for the fact that this stuff might not work, because there's already a level of cynicism, there's a level of fear, there's fear around displacement, there's a fear around lack of trust. And then on top of that, if the technology doesn't work right in the first time, you're pushing the proverbial uphill. So it's about doing that in the first instance and preparing your organisation for it might not work, and that's okay. It's this iterative process around sort of trying again, and finding the thing that will work, and then going from there.
Going out and learning and understanding and, trying to build up that education and awareness and capability just in your own, staff's ability to do this stuff. You don't necessarily need to, get the big vendors on board or need a lot of money. Some of the stuff can be as simple as just, going out and finding those, I guess, no-cost solutions or no-cost opportunities for education to uplift that capability as well.
Lisa Bennetto says there are inherent risks also in doing nothing.
I think they also need to think about risk from the perspective of not doing it. What's the risk of not doing it? The rest of the world is moving on, so you can't just ignore it. But I think you're right. Working together gives some confidence and it creates standards and all of that kind of thing as well. I think there is an opportunity to actually use this, because it is going to be moving so quickly. Every council will have to address it. What if we kind of work on it together as a sector, and that way we can find space to have the discussions that I was talking about before, maybe create a separate little innovation space. So we're not trying to, if you like, force fit AI into our systems as they exist at the moment. Maybe we kind of separate it out a little bit and use it as a test case study, as an innovation space, so that it's not as confronting to our policies, our processes, our existing systems, our integrations. We don't have to worry about that so much, because they're new things. They're separate and out from it, operating in a new ecosystem with a new way of working. And perhaps we should be looking at the ways that companies like Amazon and other tech companies, the way that they are able to move quickly and in an agile way. It's different to the way that we work in local government, but maybe that's necessary, not across the organisation. That's ridiculous. It can't happen. We know that it takes time to get consensus, but I think it's important to find an avenue to make this work.
We're really at the beginning stages of a lot of really cool, introducing a lot of really cool technologies, and I think it's really good to to meet other people from other councils, and they're like, we all share, it's all help everyone out and all that sort of stuff, and I think great, because we need to. I'd love to learn a lot more about best practice or who handles what and stuff like that. There's definitely communication between the councils and all that sort of stuff. If someone's got a cool method, it's really nice to learn those things. I mean, we're all using the same technology, right? I mean, most people are using the same technology stack. So if someone's already done something to death a million times before, and you're racking your brain thinking, how do I do this? And then someone's like, this is how we do it at our council. I mean, that's just wonderful that they're so accommodating.
While many are still grappling with what AI might mean for their councils now and in the near future, some are looking further afield for hints about even bigger changes down the track. Here again is Justine Resta.
I was recently in a few workshops a couple of weeks ago. So as part of my board role at ALGIM Australia, we participated in an international workshop to look at that, jumping to that next evolution of humanoids. So basically AI, but in robots, so moving things. So the gist of the workshop was to start to think about the role of local government when it comes to humanoids. And so I guess it was around, is that something we have to regulate? And I think the consensus was no, federal government, that's where the regulation needs to happen. But for us, it's about, what's our role in advocating for our community in terms of whether or not we go down this track? Should we be investing in this? What do those ethics look like around that? And it's similar to the AI conversation, really, but it's just sort of that next evolution. So some of the thought-provoking discussions were thinking about whether we're comfortable or not with humanoids doing local government roles. So one example was a building inspector. So given the shortage of building inspectors that we had, could a humanoid help solve that resourcing issue here, or are we as a society still not comfortable with that happening? And a few other examples were, a humanoid delivering Meals on Wheels, or even a kindergarten assistant. And there were definitely arguments for and against that made you think about, this being the future and actually having humanoids doing the roles of
It
local government.
sounds so far-fetched and something out of science fiction. Is it truly something that's not that far away,
It's
Justine?
absolutely not that far away. So even on the workshop call, they were talking about how China had just replaced the whole factory of workers with humanoids. So that's definitely coming.
If you were resistant to the internet in the 80s and 90s, how would that have gone for your local government organisation? So it's something that you can either resist it and it can move you by, or you can get on board with it and try and harness it. And I think that's the sort of moment we're at. And everyone inside the organisation, whether you like it or not, are using it. So they can either use it on their phone in their pocket, or you can bring it into the system and you can have some level of oversight. You can try and harness it. So that's the choice we face.
James Plozza with the last word there in our special edition on how generative AI is being adopted or not in our local governments. This special episode of the Roundup was made with the assistance of Symphony 3 and the AWS Builders Studio in Melbourne. A reminder that Symphony 3 has made a range of free AI resources available for local government. You can find them at symphony3.com/AI-resources. My thanks to our contributors today, Justine Resta from ALGIM, Lisa Bennetto of Fruitful Communications, James Plozza from Warrnambool City Council, Broderick McIntyre from Greater Bendigo Council, and Sarah Jane Webb and Fergal Coleman from Symphony 3. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong on the land of the Warrnambool people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening and bye for now. Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. With Symphony 3 Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling, and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors, and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. It's time to build smarter, more connected local governments. Learn more at www.symphony3.com. Symphony 3, supporters of the Local Government News Roundup.